Hello, everybody. Megazard here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting video. And here lately, last week, Nintendo managed to drop out a brand new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, where it was kind of like a 5-ish minute overview trailer of just showing some extra tidbits from the game, just to provide some extra context in terms of what we're able to do as Zelda, as this is technically her very first own game where she is the star as the major protagonist. So they managed to announce some really cool and interesting things, cool enough to where I really wanted to give my own 2 cents about the new abilities that she has, potentially other things that she might get, and what that basically means in the over scope of this game. Because if you happen to be someone out there that is still sleeping on this game, you best to wake up. I'm just saying, no. And I do apologize, I'm not on camera. I mean, I think I'm going through a head cold or something like that. So I figured, hey, if I'm not at my peak 100%, I wouldn't just show my face like that, though. So just bear with me in terms of this video, though. So that's going to basically do it in terms of just for this video. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. All right, so to kick this trailer off, you start off in Hyrule Castle, where literally Zelda's dad pushes Zelda out of the way, and he gets absorbed into the rift. I don't know what was up with those two little servant dudes or whatever, just rushing to his aid and just sacrificing themselves with him. I'm like, come on, you gotta do a little bit better than that. What about the princess? How's she gonna defend herself? Oh goodness. But anyway, though, this is interesting because obviously one of the core major aspects for this game is the rifts. Like we saw that swallow up Ganondorf. Or we say swallow up Ganondorf. Ganondorf could have been the reason for it though, or Ganon in general though. But we saw swallow up Link. Now the King of Hyrule and all these other different people that reside in the world of Hyrule. So we saw it teased in some of the past trailers where it seemed like Zelda could interact with the rifts, not necessarily be absorbed within it and, follow the same fate as the other people have that got absorbed in it. Like we literally saw like a lady kind of frozen in stone, just like residing in midair or whatever though. But it's cool how you're actually going to be able to traverse in what is called the Steel World. Now, technically, this is giving me some strong Distortion World vibes. You remember from Pokemon Platinum? Like, oh shoot, like I love the concept of the Distortion World within Platinum. And I was really bummed out for the longest time whenever, after you go through that whole entire world and you leave, you're never able to go back and re-experience like moving up through backwards waterfalls and stuff like that, though breaking the laws of physics. You got a little piece of it if you haven't go back and pick up the prestigious orb, Giratina's item though, but that was about it. And it seems like Echoes of Wisdom is really pulling some inspiration from that world. And one of the things I do like is just wacky. It's just weird. There's trees everywhere, broken islands and stuff. It's not easy to get from your point A to your point B. Hence, when the echoes really come into play, and you have to use what you gain from the outside world and use them within the steel world in order for you to be able to traverse these things. And that's where the kind of the platforming or the puzzle solving element is really gonna take a shine. And that really puts in the emphasis on how important these echoes are as you explore through the world. Like you can't necessarily get through this game without actually knowing how to use certain echoes depending on whatever situation you might be coming and facing. So I think the Steel World definitely enhances the echoes and everything else in between. So I really do love that. And then also they did reveal that dungeons are back in this game. Now I know a lot of people are kind of mixed in terms of how they feel about, dungeons and stuff. Like we didn't necessarily get like traditional dungeons in Breath of the Wild or even in Tears of the Kingdom. However, in here in this 2D Zelda, I feel like that's where dungeons are going to really shine the most because of the fact that you also have these echoes that also come into play. So, hey, if you really like solving some puzzles, hey, your knowledge is really going to be tested while you go through and traverse through this game because it's going to always cause you to think outside of the box, much like how Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom did, though. But in a more confined and a smaller scale, but you can get really experimental, a lot more so than your past 2D Zeldas, such as like your Link to the Past, which this whole entire world is based upon it. At least the standard overworld is. So I like the concept of how dungeons are coming back. However, it seems like in the most traditional aspect, it's only going to be mostly within like 2D Zeldas. It might not have that same kind of feeling in terms of our 3D Zeldas moving forward, whatever we happen to get after Tears of the Kingdom. So it's nice to see big, massive dungeons return in the Steel World, but that wasn't it. They managed to hit us with one last major news bit, and they did say, yes, Zelda will be wielding a sword. It's so weird how I saw so many people online was like, once they read like the ESRB rating and stuff, they were saying, hey, a sword could be used and be playable. And it was like, wait, hold on. If you can use a sword, does that mean we're gonna be using Link? And people got hyped for this. I'm like, wait a minute, this is Zelda's game. Why are you getting hyped about trying to use Link? Like, this is the first time Zelda has actually starred in her own game, technically for the first time. And you're also looking forward to playing as Link. I was like, no, no, no. There's got to be a reason why you're using a sword. I was thinking in the back of my mind, maybe you'll play back and forth between Link and Zelda at the very beginning of the game because we saw that little fight between Link and Ganon, and maybe towards the very end, kind of like how you have Link and Zelda buddy up and team up against their fights with Ganon or Ganondorf. That's what I was expecting. But little did we know that Zelda herself is going to be able to wield a sword. So I really do like and appreciate it. However, that almost would have gave you the vibe that she essentially would have felt just like Link, right? You're going around waving around the sword. What's the point of using echoes? Well, to counteract that, they did manage to play some checks and balances with it in the sense that you can only use a sword fighting form for a certain period of time. Yes, there's like a certain meter that lets you know how long you can use it, but once the meter drains completely, then boom, you're back to standard old Zelda. So it's like you have to play a little bit of checks and balances in terms of when you want to pop out the sword form and when you just want to traverse around just standard Zelda using the echoes, which is her main bread and butter. So I do like how they're giving you so many different options to go through and play it. And who's to say, obviously, once you beat the whole entire game, they just kind of give you like a Master Sword ish equivalent, and it's like there's not as many limits with you going around and using like the sword and stuff if you want to kind of play like as a traditional Legend of Zelda game, like as if you were playing through this game via Link. That's not necessarily off the tables, but at least while you're going through and playing it, at least your first time go around, it's nice to have that option. So at least for me, while I'm looking at this, hey, I might pull out this sword whenever it's boss fighting time. Like make sure I have just enough in the meter charged to where when I really need to go up and attack and I don't need to be messing around with too many echoes, hey, that's when I bust out that sword right there, though. But yeah, it's really cool to have this, though. And also, they managed to hit us with, I think, one last major thing. I thought there was one more, but I think this is like the basically four major bits of information they gave us. And the very last thing is you're actually able to use automatons created by like one dude up in the game. And it's kind of interesting because if you look at the D-pad allows you to kind of switch back and forth between like sword mode, allows you to use Zelda's wand, hence the Echo's abilities, and also one that looks like a little toy robot wind up little thing, and that's basically like different automatons. So this dude will actually create different devices, and each one of them does like certain something different, whether they explode or to catch an enemy by surprise. You know, the list kind of goes on and on and on. So with me looking at that, hey, there's a few more spots where Zelda could actually pivot and pull out like different modes in her moveset. So hey, they just gave us a little bit of a glimpse at what we could possibly do with Zelda, and there should probably still be like at least like one more thing, if not maybe a couple more things that Zelda might be able to go through and toggle on while she's going through and traversing through Hyrule. And now, when you look at this game, at first we just saw it as the standard echoes, but now when you plug everything together, you have these different echoes where you're actually able to control these things. Then you have this ability where it allows you to sync up with them and you can pull the object with you, or they could pull you along with it. So since you can link up with a bird and it can literally fly you halfway across the map, the compatibility between both those two things. Now you have a sword fighting mode. Now you have different things where you can summon with automatons and stuff that have like certain dedicated tasks that they're able to do. It's just fully opening up this game to a lot of different possibilities. The fact that you can go within this distorted world and traverse it, where you don't have to really think outside the box in terms of how you move. And dungeons are back, but with a little twist though. But I like how they're back. Man, oh man, I think that this could very well be a contender for Game of the Year. If you're still sleeping on this Zelda game because you're just not a fan of 2D Zeldas and you really love yourself some 3D Zeldas, I strongly recommend that you reconsider that thought and that motion though. While yes, it's not the grand scope of a Breath of the Wild or a Tears of the Kingdom that many of y'all might really love and appreciate, they're pulling so many aspects and so many things from those games and the core elements from what you can pull from a 2D Zelda, like A Link to the Past, and providing its own spin. And you have Zelda as the first playable character for the first time ever. And did I mention there's like literally like a Dark Link up in here? Like they're bringing that concept back. Zelda's gonna literally have to fight Link. I don't know what else you can ask for in a Zelda game like this. Like this is probably the most hyped 2D Zelda you could possibly be. And a lot of people might have been comparing like Link's Awakening, the last 2D Zelda we have, even though that was a remake, to Echoes of Wisdom. And this is literally day versus night. Like I cannot compare these two any more so, again, outside of just the art style. That's it. Like, oh shoot. Like oh man, I'm really looking forward to this game. It's literally gonna be out within like a few weeks from now. And I'm excited about this game. Like, this is the most I've been excited about a Zelda game in quite some time. Yes, I was excited for Tears of the Kingdom though. I never thought I'd be this excited for a 2D Zelda. I was always going to give it the time of day though, but now they just really spiced this thing up from this latest trailer. But y'all got to let me know down in the comment section down below what all do you think about this new trailer from Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Are you hyped like me? Do you see the potential there? Are you loving the elements they're pulling from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, along with past 2D Zeldas, and putting a spin on it, and allowing you to play as Zelda, and Dark Link is back? Like, oh shoot, in the distortion world, that's just the cherry on top for me. Sign me up. I am there day one. Please, oh please, do not sleep up on this game. It's all I'm saying to y'all. It's time to wake up, boys. It's time to wake up. And girls too. All right, that's gonna basically do it in terms of today's video though. So if you really like this, make sure to go and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until our video I make next, see y'all.